Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty intense, a clinical report, but not for any physical ailment. We're looking at a profound existential procedure drawn from a case study on what's called the architecture of the soul. And this quote, wow, it really sets the tone, doesn't it? We're not just looking back on a life lived, we're essentially performing an autopsy on a consciousness that has, well, failed. So let's begin the examination. All right, first up, Section 1, Diagnosis. We're calling this the gilded cage, and the condition we're looking at is clinically defined as the architecture of stagnation. So what exactly is this architecture of stagnation? Well, imagine building yourself the most beautiful, luxurious cage you can think of. A life filled with performative rituals and endless comfort. All of it designed to wall yourself off from the messy, unpredictable truths of the universe. It's basically a self-imposed quarantine from reality itself. And these are the presenting symptoms. It all starts with this will to hide, this desperate attempt to use wealth and routine to, legislate against the void. Then you've got the Pharisees' paradox, where you're putting on this big show for a world that, frankly, doesn't really care. You're caught in stagnant luxury, choosing to just survive instead of actually evolving. And inside your soul's chambers, they're just a narcissistic digestion system, only there to serve the ego. The root of all this? Architectural hubris. It's this deep-seated belief that you, and you alone, can build a reality that can somehow defy the entire cosmic order. Put it all together, and you've got a terminal condition, a loop of just going nowhere. So, how do you treat a condition like that? Well, the case study lays out a pretty radical surgical procedure. Section 2, the Unmaking Intervention. The procedure itself is pretty intense. It's a two-step process. First, you have the ebony clock. This is all about relentless external pressure. It's that constant, nagging reminder that, hey, you're not immortal, the clock is ticking. And then there's the verdant dagon. This one's internal. It's like a mirror being forced right in front of your face, making you look at every single self-deception you've ever tried to bury. And what's so wild is how these two instruments work together. The ebony clock comes from the outside in. It shatters that illusion that you can control time, that your perfect, curated now will last forever. Spoilers, it won't. At the same time, the verdant dragon works from the inside out. It's a diagnostic tool that just lays bare all your suppressed failures, everything you've ever lied to yourself about. The text calls it the rotting interior. Yikes. Together, these two forces just completely dismantle every defense you've ever built. Okay, so once those defenses are down, what happens next? That brings us to Section 3, Confronting the Inner Dragon. The report calls this part the Wild Hunt. And yeah, it's about to get real. So what does happen when there's nowhere left to hide? I mean, really think about it. All those gilded walls you've built up, they're corroding, they're dissolving into dust, and you're just left there, completely and utterly exposed. And that total exposure leads to one thing: agonizing clarity. It's that moment of pure, painful, unfiltered truth, where every single defense mechanism your ego has ever constructed is just gone, shattered into a million pieces. And right there, in that moment of total vulnerability, something arrives: the high judge of the void. Now, this isn't some monster coming to get you. It's a manifestation of objective reality itself. Think of it less like an executioner and more like a cosmic tax collector. It's here to settle the books on a soul that spent its whole life living on borrowed time and borrowed truths. This judge is the great equalizer. But believe it or not, that agonizing moment isn't the end of the procedure. It's actually the beginning of the most critical stage. Welcome to Section 4, the Crucible of Choice. This is where the patient has to make a fundamental decision about their existence. And the choice is between two completely different ways of being. On the one hand, you've got the logic of zero. This is presented as the cure, the recommended treatment. It's a therapeutic release, a return to non-being, the grand silence. Basically, your suffering ends. But then there's the logic of one. The report actually calls this choice pathological because it's a rejection of the cure. It means embracing conscious friction, struggle, individual sovereignty, and the crushing responsibility that comes with it. It's a choice between peace and the eternal storm of being an individual. So, let's say the patient refuses the cure. They choose the storm. That takes us to Section 5, the agony of sovereignty. And the prognosis here, It's not about healing. It's about living with a lifelong noble affliction. And just look at the cost, the symptoms of choosing this path. We're talking persistent mental friction, the heavy, heavy burden of seeing existence for what it is, completely unfiltered, deep isolation, because you no longer need anyone else's validation. And that means you alone, become the sole source of your own meaning. That is a crushing responsibility. See, this isn't freedom in the way we normally think of it. It's more like a sentence to a perpetual, conscious struggle. But here's the final twist, the paradox in all of this. This path of resistance, this path defined by agony, actually reveals the procedure's ultimate, maybe even unintended potential. Which brings us to our final section, prognosis, the crimson gift. This potential is called the crimson gift. The idea is that this absolute destruction is actually necessary. It's like clearing away all the dead branches to allow for something new to grow. The intense pressure of this unmaking, it can actually forge something brand new from the wreckage, a truly sovereign consciousness, born not from comforting illusions, but from agonizing honesty. So that's where the final assessment leaves the patient, standing at a threshold. They can accept the equilibrium, the grand silence of surrender, or they can choose to become the lightning and define their own path straight through the heart of the storm. And the thing is, the clinical report offers no judgment. It doesn't say which path is better. It just presents the choice and its consequences. It leaves the ultimate question of value for the patient and for us to decide. So I'll leave you with this. Is sovereignty worth the eternal storm?